Hi there, this is Derek from Pacific Coast Auto, and welcome to my personal vlog again, where we talk about my job as a car exporter and living in Japan and anything else that you want to talk about. So, today's topic, for the Wednesday topic, every Wednesday, is going to be about buying, owning, and driving a car in Japan. So most of the people who are on this vlog and watch me, they're into Japan, or they're into cars, or they're into both. And so if you live here in Japan and you're into cars, then you're going to want to get a car. And so the first step to getting a car is finding one and buying it. So Japan, unlike most other countries, you can't just go into the newspaper or go online and find listings from individual buyers. There are some people who sell their cars like that, but it's very, very uncommon because the registration system here in Japan is a little bit complex. And because of that, the average person doesn't know how to register a car. The registration process is usually done by the dealership that you buy the car from at a pretty significant markup, I might add. So likely you'll be buying the car from a dealer, and dealers in Japan are just like any other country. They're quite commonly shady enterprises that don't quite tell you everything about the car if there's a problem with it unless you ask or you can prove it otherwise. I can't even count the amount of times that I've spoken to a dealer and said, has this car been in an accident? And they said no, and then I went to go see it and it clearly had been. And so I think for me it's probably a little bit, you know, my job is to find problems with cars, and so I probably know more than most of the dealers do about these cars, and so I can give them a little bit of credit for that. But still, I just don't like dealers in general because the whole business model is a little bit, you know, not 100% honest. You can't be a 100% honest dealer and make a good profit, and that's just the way that it is. Okay, so you've picked out your car and you've decided to buy it. So the dealer's going to set you up with registration, and the registration has a couple of different things. Your car needs to be registered every 2 years, and this is what they call this shaken. And every 2 years the car gets inspected by the inspection office, and then you get 2 more years to drive it. And so when you get your new car, if you buy a brand new car, you get 3 years. Every time after that, it's every 2 years. You need to have it redone. The registration, okay, so you've gotten the car and you're driving it now, everything's fine. Insurance, there's 2 different types. The mandatory insurance is super cheap. For like 1 year, it's like $100 or something like that. Compulsory insurance, if it's an old car, like 15 years old, there's a good chance that no insurance companies are going to give you anything over the compulsory insurance. And so that means if you get into an accident and it's your fault, then you have to pay out of pocket. The insurance won't cover that. If you want to get extra insurance over that and you want to do some searching around, you should be able to find somebody who can do that. The cost is anywhere between $150 to $300 per month. And then to get your car registered, you need to prove that you have a parking spot for your car. And so what you do is you find a parking spot, which in most cases isn't going to be at your apartment. It's probably going to be a few minutes walk away from your apartment, and so you have to park away. Depending on where you live, excuse me, I'm sorry. I live in Yokohama, and so it's a big city, so parking is usually pretty far away. If you go to a smaller city, or even outside of the Tokyo area, you should be able to find a spot right at your apartment, or right at your house if you've got a house. And so you need to get that spot, and that spot needs to be registered with your car. And so you have to go to the police station and you have to get a certificate that they call a shako shomei, which registers a certain VIN number into that parking spot. And then you have to tell the police. The police will actually come to your parking spot to make sure that it actually exists, and then they'll give you your certificate. It takes about 3 days or so to get that. And in general, like if you're going to be buying a new car, you should get that certificate before you go into the dealer's place. Otherwise, after you buy the car, you have to wait until you've processed that before you can get it registered. And so parking spots in my area are about $150 a month. They can be much more or much less expensive than that depending on where you live. $150 is about what I would expect to pay That's my recommendation. So your costs, you got the parking spot, $150 per month. The registration every 2 years. So the shaken, you can do it yourself, but if you don't speak Japanese, you should probably get another company to do it. The shaken depends on the size of the engine of your car and the weight of your car. I'm sorry, let me just rephrase that. It depends on the weight of your car and the weight class that your car is in. And so I drive a Legacy. This is in a weight class up to 1,400 kilograms, and we pay about 120,000 yen per every 2 years. And that includes the inspection and your road tax in there. And then every year, you also have to pay about $500 in May. And this is your tax that has to do with the size of the engine of your car. So if you've got a large engine size, then you pay a higher tax. The highest is 4,000 cc, and the lowest is 1,000 cc, with a very special class for 660 cc and below. So that's your K class. K vehicles, they get a yellow license plate, and they are much, much cheaper to register. Everything is about half the cost or lower than that. And actually a K-class car you don't have to have a registered parking spot for. Not like regular cars. Fuel right now, 2014 April. High octane gas is $1.39. I just checked it on the drive here. Regular gas is $1.29. Usually the high octane is about 10 yen per liter more. But most of the people who like driving, they like cars that require premium fuel. And so you're looking at the high octane amount. So $1.39. The highest I've seen it is $1.85, but recently gas prices have been really cheap. And so that's very nice. So yeah, that's just what your costs are. As far as driving here, it's not really that difficult. You'll need a license, of course, but most countries, I believe there's a list of about 25 or 30 countries, you can get the Japanese license just by trading in your old license, and so that's what I did. And so if you're Canadian, you can do that. If you're American, you can do that now, but even like 3 or 2 years ago, you couldn't. This is a new thing. If you need to get your license, like actually pass the road test here, it's very, very difficult. There's a little bit of a scam going on there where if you don't take the driving school, they don't teach you what you need to pass the inspection. And I've got a friend who failed like 5 times, even though he had his American license. And the driving schools are rather expensive, $300 or $3,500 or so. And then if you try to get your license yourself, I don't know the cost. I think it's like each test is about $150 or $200 or something. But very likely you'll fail just from some really stupid thing that they say that you have to do. And I think it's like one mess up and you fail. But I can't say for certain because I've never been through that system. Okay, so that's just the basics of being here in Japan. Driving's pretty easy. Of course, you can drive left-hand or right-hand drive cars here. The big cities are complex. Driving on toll roads is very expensive. I think I've mentioned it before, but my drive to work is a 35-minute drive and it costs over 1,000 yen. So that's about $10 US for my 35-minute drive to work. And then another $10 back, and so it's pretty expensive. If you're going to be doing any traveling whatsoever, you're probably better off just going by train because cars are just really expensive. But then again, buying the car here in Japan is really cheap, so you can get cars for super cheap. The Legacy I'm driving right now, the purchase cost was 60,000 yen, so like $550. We changed the timing belt and we got it registered, and that was about an extra $2,500 or so. But you don't have to change your timing belts when you get the car. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the cast here. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like this, and if you want to see more about living in Japan or our business as a car exporter in Japan. So thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.